What it do, what the business is. It's Sunday, so you already know that your boy had to jump back in here with another episode of this Flight Lounge. Now, I ain't gonna lie, I'm pretty excited to be back. I just got off a vacation, and in the summertime and throughout all the time in the year, sometimes a vacation is what you need to like go do so you can get a lot of the stress and the everyday things out of your mind and go out there, go see something new, go try some new food, go get a new experience, and just be out there and build memories, not only for yourself, but build it with your family and stuff like that. So yeah, man, if you're not following the YouTube, make sure y'all follow the YouTube because that's where I'm about to be posting a lot of the footage and stuff that I got during the vacation. If you're not following me on Instagram as well, I ended up posting at least like 100 different stories throughout that week that I was gone. I ended up hitting Houston, which was cool. You feel me? If you've ever been to Texas, you know that it's real big. So sometimes when you trying to go around and go sightseeing in Texas, especially if you're not dealing with a whole bunch of time, it can be real strenuous because everything is so far away. But I ended up going to Texas, out to Houston. That was my first time there, and it was a cool little experience. You feel me? I ended up getting there pretty late, so I remember the first night I was outside of the hotel. I'm burning a blunt with my lady or whatnot, and I almost got jumped by a couple roaches out there. I'm not gonna lie, I was in the street. I ended up seeing a little movement, and then one turned to two, two turned to four, and four turned to mo, and it looked like a whole bunch of roaches was outside, so I had to put the blunt out and just go back in the hotel. But besides that, I got to go out there, go try some of the food, go to a spot that they called the Plot, and it was, or the Post, and it was pretty cool. They had a bunch of different like food cart style, but it was indoors, and they just had a bunch of different vendors that was selling all these different types of food, from Mexican foods to pizza to Japanese food, and just different stuff that you wouldn't see every day. And I don't believe that any of these were like chain type restaurants. These were like probably 101, or we from Texas and we might have one or two. But all in all, I had a real good time in Texas. Then we had to fly over to Atlanta, and it was only right that I had to go see Dr. King's house for the first time. I had been to Atlanta a long time ago, but I didn't really do too much. This time I'm a little bit more versed in traveling, so when I go to places, I usually look at TikTok, look at YouTube, and just kind of build like a foundation of what I'm gonna be doing in the time, because a lot of these times I'm only there for like 2 or 3 days, so we gotta get in, not only try the food, but go see the stuff and actually enjoy the time that we spend in there. And then I had to go over to Orlando, which is always a good time, especially if you've never been to Florida. If you like a Disney person or a theme park type person, Orlando is the spot to go, because they got all of them, from the Disney to the Fun Spot to the Sea World, and all of those different spots that you can go. But if you're not really big on that type of thing, I would say it was just okay. Especially if you a foodie like me, I would say it was a little bit that didn't have a whole bunch of good food that I was really trying to try. They had a whole bunch of basic stuff. Especially me being from Portland, you really gotta have some good food for me to be able to get to it. I don't want to travel no 30, 40, 50 minutes to go try some good burgers or something. I want to be able to go there and within a 15, 20 minute radius of where I'm gonna be staying at, because I try to stay pretty central when I go to these trips, and I kind of just plan it according to what I'm about to do. But yeah, man, that was, like I said, if you ain't subscribed to the YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button on the YouTube, because that's where you gonna see all the footage, all the stuff that I was eating, all the places that I was going to. And yeah, it was all around good time. But yeah, so I like to start each episode off with a little bit of motivation, a little bit of spiel, if you will. Now, I'm gonna just lead it into what I was talking about. Get out there, you know what I mean? Don't wait until you're 40 and 50 to retire to be like, oh, my dream spot is Jamaica, because you might wait all this time, go over to Jamaica, and you might not even like it. So go out there and experience. Go see some people, go meet some people, go chill at the beach, go to these arcades and movie theaters and malls, and just go out there and do some of the things that you when you watch on the Explorer channel and stuff like that. If you ever was like, oh man, I wish I could go there, you can go there. There's various websites that you can go on online and book cheap tickets and find little excursion packages and actually go out there and go see something. Because at least with me, it's hard to be motivated when you in the same spot day after day after day, and you get into that routine of just being so, complacent in doing those things like going to work every day. You gotta clean your house up. You gotta feed your kids and take care of your kids. And those things are necessities. You know what I mean? I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, but at that same time, don't forget about yourself, because mental health is a real thing. And if you ain't going out there getting inspired and trying new things, it's only a matter of time before you gonna burn out and you're gonna be like, you know what, I'm tired of this, or you know what I mean? And sometimes you might go to a place and realize like, I'm supposed to be over here. You might go to, like, when I go to Atlanta, this is the second time that I've been there. The first time I loved it. This time I loved it again. And I would definitely say, like, in the future, I might even consider moving there. I don't know all the way, just because the money situation, we make more money over here on the West Coast. But I would definitely say I wouldn't mind buying a home out in Atlanta, because I think that it's a good fit for what I'm trying to do as far as my music, as far as my businesses that I do. And I just feel like the crowd is better for me and what I'm trying to do. So that might be a spot, here in the future that I might be thinking about. But especially if you got kids too, make sure you taking your kids out to go travel. They're young, you know what I mean, they deserve to go out there and go see these things, so that they know when they grow up that where they're from is not the only place. Because I know some people that are like 35, 40 that never left the Northwest. They couldn't tell you what Texas looked like, or Minnesota feel like in the winter, or New York looked like on a busy day. They can't tell you those things because they've always been in Portland, Seattle, Vancouver, Washington area, and they just not getting out. So if you have a little bit of money, I know times is hard out here, but if you got a little bit of money, start investing in yourself. And part of investing in yourself is going out to go see these things, because one day it's going to be the end and you going to be like, damn, I wish I would have went to go see this, or try this, or go over here and look at this. So go out there while you got time. Go out there while you got your health, and go out there if you got them kids, because one day you're not going to be able to be with your kids and take them. So go out there and show them that every day is different and all these places are different. So yeah, man, that's what I got for y'all as far as the motivation. Just get out there and go travel, go see something. And if you like to travel, make sure you hit the comment section on the YouTube and let me know what's some spots that you visited that you recommend to other people that you might be able to find for like a discount. Like I said, sometimes you can, depending on when you're traveling, you can go out there and go find, $300, $400, $500 tickets, and really go out there and go see something that you would have never dreamt of seeing before. Just go out there and do it. Stop waiting. Now, you already know that I got some topics of the week, and I think there's some pretty good topics of the week, so let's get to them. Now, the first topic of the week, of course, is the movies of the week. Now, this one is a movie, I started watching it, but I didn't end up finishing it, so I'm not going to spill it all. I'm just going to say what I kind of seen. Now, this movie is called Highest to Lowest. It's a Spike Lee joint. It got a couple big stars like Denzel Washington. I seen Ice Spice got her debut on there. It's the first time she in a movie acting with some stars. I seen ASAP on there. He doing his thing. ASAP popping into the movies. He's not really doing the music so much. So when he doing his acting thing, sometimes he can, be a good actor. So this movie is basically about Denzel. He's a music mogul, and he's a rich man. He out there handling his business, and he got a young son. You know what I mean? He doing his sports thing, and in this movie, it looks like somebody trying to stick him for the paper, and they end up snatching his son up. So they gotta, handle business, but also figure out how they can pay this ransom and who could be the person behind the kidnapping. And like I said, I didn't see the whole movie, so I'm not gonna try to act like, oh, this is what was going on. But it looked pretty good from what I was seeing. I probably only watched like, I'm going to say I probably watched like 35, 45 minutes of it, but I'm going to probably double back either tomorrow or the next day when I got some time to actually sit there and watch it. Because you ever watch movies and you trying to do a couple other things, you on your phone, a couple people done called, you done walked and, did a couple things, you came back and it's like, oh damn, I don't even know what happened. It was one of those type of things. So again, the movie is called Highest to Lowest. It's in theaters right now. Or if you got the other ways that you be watching movies, you can watch it like that. They got a pretty decent copy that you can watch right now. So make sure y'all go check that out. Now, the music of the week. Now, y'all know this year, it ain't really been a whole big year for the music scene. There's been a couple artists that's been dropping and stuff like that, but I ain't really heard nothing that was really, really sticking. You know what I mean? But We did get 2 drops since the last time I was on there. I ended up checking out one. One of them is on the to listen later list, but we gonna get to it nonetheless. Now, that Gunna, that last one, I was excited for it. We talked about it. I told y'all I couldn't wait till it came out because I was interested to see what this project was going to do, especially with 25 songs on it. Now, I listened to pretty much the whole thing. Some of them, it wasn't for me. This project, I feel like it was a lot slower and it didn't really have a lot of replay value, at least to me. You know what I mean? There was some songs that I definitely put on the playlist that I played in the car a few different times. My favorite song on there, I think, is that one with Wizkid, that "Say You'll Always Be Mine." That's a slap. You feel me? Especially if you be in your grown man bag. I don't always want to hear about no, go yard on the bag and all that. I want to hear something that I can vibe to. You feel me? Ride around on some grown man shit, something for the ladies. You feel me? I like listening to those too. You know what I mean? And I just feel like this project with Gunna was a lot, melodic. Not that he's not a melodic artist, because he's always melodic, but this one was more for like something you could ride to. Maybe spark up a flame if you with your little honey dip, y'all in the Versace or the Louis, and y'all just riding in them foreign things down the street. I feel like this was some of that music, but I'm real interested to see what Gunna do, because as I said, this was the last one. This is the last one on YSL, so now he probably gonna, prevail into a different style of artist. He always gonna be him, but I think now that he's not gonna be connected to Young Thug and Lil Keed and Lil Gotti and Yak Gotti and all of them, he gonna have to really put that pressure on him like he been doing. Like I said, he's kind of been switching who he's been working with too. I know he had Burna Boy on there, and he had Wizkid, and these are some international artists. These ain't no, this the homie from Atlanta. No, these are some real stars, some African stars. So that's gonna put him in a different genre. I already seen that it was #1 on the Apple Music, so it's speaking for itself. He's doing his thing. If you ain't heard that last one, make sure y'all go check that out. Like I said, it didn't have a whole bunch of songs for me on there, but I'm still a fan, and I think it was a good project. You feel me? So the next project is the one that I said I didn't listen to it. It's something to listen to later, but I've been getting, some good feedback on it as far as if the music is good, if it's repetitive, if the beats was there, if the collabs was there. It's that Offset. Now, we know, like, I'm going to say 5 years ago, Migos was the #1 squad out there. You had Takeoff, you had Quavo, you had Offset. They was all locked in doing their thing, but I feel like since, RIP to passing the Takeoff, they haven't really been doing too much, you know what I mean? Now, I know that Quavo and Offset, they had their little fallout, so they was doing, the Few and Neff album, and, that's kind of when Takeoff lost his life, you feel me? But they haven't really been the same without him, you know what I mean? Especially Quavo. He took the hit, real strong, and that was his nephew, so I understand. But at some point, if you get paid from doing shows and putting out music, you should probably be putting out music, because at the end of the day, music is one of those things, if you're not producing, the fans is just gonna move on. They're not gonna wait 50 years, especially in the rap game. Maybe in like the rock and roll and stuff like that, there's people that's like, I've been a fan of this band for 35 years, 50 years. You know what I mean? And if they show up and do a show, they're going to be there. But with rap, if you not dropping, I say you got like a year and a half attention span. Unless you like a superstar like Lil Wayne or Future or somebody whose fans are really gonna wait for. Now, Offset, like I said, I haven't heard the album. I'm interested. I've heard a bunch of different snippets, the ones that's going around on like Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that, and it's sounding tight. It's sounding tight, and I ain't gonna lie, Offset was kind of always my favorite Migo. I probably said that a couple different times on various podcasts and stuff like that. He's always been my favorite Migo. He came out of jail, because when they first came out, it was only 2 Migos, and it was like, oh, the other one is in jail, he get out soon. And when he got out, he was putting pressure. I'm not saying that Take wasn't doing his thing. Quavo, he was always just alright to me. You feel me? But I think this project is going to be great. Like I said, I know he got some growth on there, especially breaking up with Cardi. I know he addressed some of the situations on there, so I'm excited to see what he got to say, what kind of growth he got on there. And yeah, man, let me hit this water real quick. Your boy was burning. Hold on. But yeah, I'm excited to see the growth that he gonna have on this project because, like I said, people are saying that it's pretty consistent. People are giving it a 9 out of 10, a 10 out of 10, an 8.5 out of 10. So I'm probably about to play it. When I get in the car, it's been real hot. I'm not gonna lie, it's been like 100 degrees, so I've been kind of ducking it. Plus, like I said, I was on vacation. I wasn't really listening to too much music, but I'm definitely gonna give this project a listen, and I'll let y'all know what I think of it. Now, I know y'all been wondering if your boy been burning some of that loud pack from the Outback or some of that mild pack. We don't smoke that. You feel me? But this week I got one it's some decent. It's some alright. It's one that I didn't try, so I ended up grabbing it, and it's just some cool. Now this time I decided to grab. Y'all know I like them flavors. I ended up grabbing some of this churros. Now I done seen it on the menu a couple different times, and I'm always just like, I don't know about no goddamn churros. But today, I was feeling like, okay, let's try something new. So I ended up getting some of that. It's actually some San Fernando Valley OG mixed with some Face Off OG. You know what I mean? For some real, like, it's like a creamy, sweet type flavor, but the flavor wasn't really there. The smoke was, it was burning the throat a little bit, but as far as the taste was going, it wasn't really some strong like I would have liked it to be. Like I said, I was kind of hesitant on getting it, but when I was looking at it, I think it's like a 25.7% THC. So it's in the gauge of what I usually like. And like I said, sometimes when you go to the dispensary, if they don't got what you would normally get, and in this case, I was getting a lot of that what was I getting? I got some galactic bubble gum. I had got some gelato and then some birthday cake and some shit like that. And I was blowing it, and they was all sold out of those ones. Especially the one that I really, really liked was that what was it called? I can't even remember off the top of my head because I be having so many different flavors. But yeah, man, they didn't have the ones that I like, so I grabbed this churros. I'ma get this shit like a 6.5 because the taste is just kind of bland a little bit, especially churros. I'm thinking cinnamon. I'm thinking sweet. Like I said, the smoke is real smooth. It got a burn on it. Just the flavor kind of just throws it off for me. This probably ain't gonna be one that I, grab again unless it's a different cut from a different grower. I might consider grabbing it again. But yeah, man, that's what I'm blowing on this week. Some of that churros. I'm gonna give it. Like I said, I'm gonna give it the 6.5. You know what I mean? But now that we got that out the way, the electronics of the week, we gotta speak on it. There was a major announcement for the video game lovers. You know what I mean? Now, myself, I've always been from day one. First, I had the Sega, then I had the Nintendo. But ever since I've been really on my video game stuff, a nigga always been a PlayStation nigga. I don't know nothing about no Xbox. You feel me? We don't play those. You feel me? Now, I know people argue and say like, oh, Xbox is better than PlayStation, but nigga, we know the truth. We know what's grown man and we know what's little kids. I'm not sitting there playing no Halo. I'm not sitting there playing no Star Fox or no shit like that. When it comes to the real deal games like Mortal Kombat and God of War and shit like that, you need the PlayStation. That's why I got the P5 on lock. We got the Xbox, that S thing. We got the new one. We don't use that. We use the PlayStation. You feel me? We playing that Astrobot and shit like that. Ratchet and Clank, stuff like that. But I guess Xbox and PlayStation, they decided, you know what? You remember back in the day, like when you would play like Halo and it'd be like, this is an Xbox exclusive. It's a wrap for that shit. They decided it's too much money out here and you gotta let people decide which games they want to play, what systems they got. Just because I like to play PlayStation don't mean I wouldn't want to play, Conkers or something like that. Or, some people say that video games or like sports video games are necessarily better on the Xbox than the PlayStation. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm not like a big sports video game player, so I can't really tell you. I'm more of like a Call of Duty type nigga, Evil West, Resident Evil, stuff like that. And usually those games are the ones that you gotta play on the PlayStation. Like I said, I've had Xboxes in the past, and there's games that I like Gears. You know what I mean? That Gears of War was always one of my favorites. The Halo was always good. The Conquerors was always good. And just shit like that. But it never compared to the PlayStation experience. So I'm excited to see now that they're putting the PlayStation games on the Xbox and the Xbox on the PlayStation. I'm probably going to be grabbing, just sporadic games that I wouldn't normally grab because they would have been on Xbox. So throughout, the next year or two, you're going to start seeing a bunch of different games for the PlayStation that you would have been like, oh, damn, they put that on there? And yeah, man, so I'm hoping that they're going to be, at least the older ones are gonna be cheaper. Like I know that this brand new Gears of War that they about to drop, it's only $40, but it's like a remastered, reloaded is what they calling it. You know what I mean? Version, and it's gonna be the first time that this game has ever been on PlayStation because it was an Xbox exclusive. So I think that they're just rolling out, some of the games to see how people take to it and see if they like the, controls. I'm sure it's gonna be a little bit different coming from the Xbox to the PlayStation, but it's gonna be the same gameplay, and I'm hoping that it's the same experience that I used to get from the Xbox version. And I'm just excited because, like I said, that was one of my favorite games back in the day. So I'm interested to see the upgrades and stuff that they made on the game, and hopefully it's, like I said, it's the same kind of vibe. Now, the last topic that I got for y'all is my favorite topic of the day, and y'all know that's the sneakers of the week. Now, the sneakers of the week, I'm not gonna lie, some of these sneakers been dry. It's getting to the point that I'm starting to be like, maybe I just need to wear some running shoes or something, because these Jordans is just not hitting the same. I don't care about all these different collabs. I don't care about these colorways and lining up and people reselling and doing all of that. You know what I mean? But I do got some J's for y'all. That's cool. You feel me? Now, I ain't gonna lie, this is a pair that I want, and I wanted them just because of the nostalgic of the shoe. You know what I mean? Some of the shoes back in the day were super hard to get, and it was less resellers and people hiking up the shoes, but this one was a classic. People were paying $40,000 for it. It's that undefeated Ford. Now, I really never understood what the price hike was on the shoes. You know what I mean? They look decent, they look cool, like you could wear them with some camos, but they're not something that I had to, I had to have these. But now that they're coming back out and they're at a reasonable price, they're gonna be dropping on the 28th for the 225, I believe. You know what I mean? And this might be one that I gotta put into the closet. You feel me? I probably won't rock it a whole bunch, but just like I said, off the nostalgic, and we couldn't get it back in the day, I might have to grab it. You feel me? I didn't already seen a bunch of people like on TikTok and Facebook and Twitter and all of that stuff, and they've been already having their pairs, but the official release is the 28th, and I'm probably about to be, trying to see if I can hit on the raffle or something so I can grab me a pair of them joints. Now, the next shoe that I seen is another collab, and this ain't one that I'm gonna get. It's not horrible, but it's just not something that I need in the closet. These Awake NY 5s. They look pretty cool. They look kind of like some metallic 5s. They got a little bit more blue and stuff on them, and they got like an A on the side of them. Like I said, they look pretty cool. I'm just not really familiar. I guess like Awake NY is like a major brand, and they do a little, it's a streetwear brand, but they also add like high fashion to their pieces, and they sell out pretty quick. People love them. So now that they got this collab with Jordan, I'm interested to see what they got. Like I said, I've been seeing a couple people here and there, like you already know DJ Khaled and stuff. He already got them, brought them out, showed us and all of that good stuff, and they look pretty cool. Like I said, I just be kind of trying to save some of my money off of the shoe game, because I was buying any and everything for so long. I used to work at the Foot Locker, y'all already know. From 2007 to 2014, grabbed all of those, sold a bunch, had to restock the collection. So I'm real particular with what I'll put in my collection, just because I'm more like wanting to travel and shit. I don't want to have to go spend $300, $400, $500 on the shoes unless it's something that I gotta have in a collection, or it just makes sense to spend the money. But yeah, man, that's what I got for y'all. So like I said, I'm about to get out of here. You feel me? So as always, make sure y'all hitting that subscribe button if you're watching this from the YouTube. If you listening to this from Spotify or whatnot, make sure y'all hitting that follow button, because your boy's gonna be back next week with some more stuff, as always on Sunday. So make sure y'all tuned in. But yeah, man, as always, you already know what it is, and you know who it is. It's Jolin, it's Varsity. Peace.